All right, now that our brains are a little more warmed up, we're going to talk about positions. Now, I like to think of this kind of as a bus route. And the bus is our hand and oftentimes our first finger. That's how we're going to think about it first. Our bus and our transport is our first finger, our thumb, and the rest of our hand. That is what is moving our other fingers places so that we can reach those fingers to new notes. Now, if you ride a bus, usually when people are being dropped off at home or at bus stops, not everybody is going to the same exact location. So that's why I think this bus route thing is helpful, is because your fingers may not go to the same place every time, but they will go to their own separate places, depending on what scale we're in. Now, and depending on where our bus lands. Now, we're looking at this a little differently so that everybody can kind of see it in terms of their instrument. And we're using the D string as an example because we're very, very familiar with our D string, and everybody has a D string with the same exact notes on it. So down here, just so you know, that's my attempt at drawing a little scroll. That is the scroll of our instrument. And down here we have the bridge. Now, these are not all the notes in between, but let's start here. So for everybody, our first finger is E on our D string, right? And from there, then you can reach these other notes. Basses, you can only reach F sharp from there. Cellos, you can reach F sharp and G, and violins and violas, you can reach F sharp, G, and A, and all the notes in between. Now, in thinking about positions, if you move your first finger, let's say up to F sharp. So everyone's first finger is here. If your first finger is here, then which fingers would be most convenient to reach G and A? Think about it for a second. Now I'll tell you, cellos, we'll start with you. If your first finger is on F sharp, your second finger should fall on G, and then your fourth finger should fall on A. Basses, if your first finger is on F sharp, your second finger is G. And you can't really reach A from there, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Violins and violas, if you've got F sharp here, second finger, really close to F sharp, so best buds with your first finger, just like this, that would be G. You would have space between your second and third finger for A, and then you could put your fourth finger out if you want, and I want you to figure out what that note might be. Now, I want you to try and figure out, if you put your first finger on G, where your notes would be, and what fingers you should play those notes with. And I sent out a worksheet for you to work on this on your own and figure it out. I will also send out an answer key so that you can check your answers. And hopefully this will make it really easy to understand, and maybe you can start experimenting with these different positions. Now, before we do that, I just want to tell you the names of these positions. They're pretty intuitive, very straightforward. Positions are just labeled first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I think violins even go all the way up to eighth, ninth. They go way up there. Cellos and basses, once we get past seventh position, we go into a completely different world of positions, and we won't get there yet, but that's something where you use your thumb, fun fact, to play notes. So violins and violas, be happy you don't have to use your thumb to play your instrument. Okay, now in talking about the numbers of positions, if your first finger, it's based on where your first finger is. Remember, our first finger, our bus, based on where our bus is what the position is. So if our bus stops at E, then this is first position. If our bus stops at F sharp, that is second position. If our bus stops at G, that is third. And if our bus stops at A, that is fourth position. Now, violins and violas, this part doesn't apply to you. So you can go ahead and skip this and go ahead and work on your worksheet. Now, basses and cellos, now that I have you alone, you have more positions than they do. Because they have such tiny instruments and their fingers can reach more notes than we can because they have smaller instruments, they don't have to have as many positions. They can just kind of stretch their finger based on which position they're in. Now, we have half positions. Now, basses, you probably already know this, but basses, we've got half positions, and cellos, we also have half positions. That would be right here. This would be E flat, right? We just recently learned that. And this is half position. Here, between E natural and F sharp, we have F natural, and this is first and a half position. It makes sense, right? If you were to divide 0 and 1, then you would get to half position. And if you wanted to find what's exactly between first and second position, you would get 1.5. Between second and third position, though, there is no second and a half position. And that's just the way we play. That's the way these positions work. And finally, you've got between G and A, you have G sharp, which is third and a half position. Okay, we won't be using these very often, but you do use it for your B flat major scale. So see if you can go through your B flat major scale and figure out which position your hand has to be in on each string for that scale.